welcome yogis. We have 60 minutes of yin today. And thank you for joining me, whether you're joining me live or you're taking the class later, either is fine. If you are interested, it can be nice to listen to music while you're practicing yin yoga. And if you would like, with the recorded class, I'm going to attempt to email a link to my Spotify. But if you have Spotify, if you search my name, which is Kelly L. Wampler, W-A-M-P-L-E-R, all one word, no spaces, you'll find my profile. And I have a couple of yin playlists on there, and I'm also downloading just a huge list of yin songs that you could just put on skip or whatever it's called when you don't put them in order. So, or if you've got any music at home, feel free to listen to some music while you're practicing yin today. It can be just nice to hear soothing music as you're drifting away in your yin class. So props for today's practice. If you have at home, bolsters are great. Blocks can be used. Blanket is a really good thing to use, especially for today's practice, even just to be able to sit on a blanket and then you can fold it as necessary. I don't believe we'll use a strap for today's practice, so you can use pillows if you don't have a bolster to make it work at home. So you want to make sure that you're comfortable as we move into our shapes. So we're going to begin this morning in a hero's pose, so in a seated posture. So for me, just sitting on my heels like this I can do this for a moment, but it wouldn't be comfortable long term, or if I was trying to sit here for any amount of time. So I like to utilize blocks. Know that you could also sit on a bolster or a pillow. So you can always sit on this, or you could perhaps take one block and sit on it. Know that you can also turn it the longer way because that'll support your hip bones. It'll kind of just depend on where your sits bones are. Or you can also use two blocks. And what I like to do is cross them like this. So it's lengthwise on the bottom and then widthwise on the top. And in doing that, you have support for your sits bones and you can kind of slide your feet underneath as well. It leaves a little space there. So hero's pose right from the start is going to kind of start to open up the fronts of our legs or the quads, which is an area that a lot of us find tightness. We're going to work on that a little bit today. So if hero's pose just absolutely doesn't work for you, feel free to start out lying on your back or just in any comfortable seat, just to take a couple of moments to settle in. Go ahead and close down the eyes and just feel the breath coming in and out through the nose. Just starting to settle in for your practice. So through our yin class and in all of my yoga classes, I like to sometimes give you guys a little bit of information about different things. So you can either listen or you can completely ignore it if that's not something you're into. But eventually we are going to do a breathing exercise called Nadi Shodhana. And in doing this pranayama exercise, I want to explain to you kind of why we do Nadi Shodhana. So according to ancient Vedic texts, the human body contains 72,000 nadis that channel prana to every cell. Think of nadis as channels or rivers and prana as energy flowing through them. As yogis, we are especially interested in three of these nadis. Sushumna Nadi is the body's great river, running from the base of the spine to the top of the head, originating at the root chakra and passing through the 5 other chakras all the way up to the crown chakra. Ida and Pingala Nadis spiral around Sushumna like the double helix of our DNA, intersecting each other at every chakra. Eventually, all 3 meet at our 3rd eye chakra, in between the eyebrows. So Ida Nadi begins on the left side of Sushumna and is associated with the feminine, the receptive energy, the moon, the yin, cooling energy of our body. Pingala begins on the right side of Sushumna and is associated with the masculine side, the sun, the yang, the more fiery energy, doing side of our body. Why is this important? It is important because of balance. Despite the gender or non-gender that we identify ourselves with, each of us contains masculine and feminine energy. As yogis, one of our main focuses is creating equilibrium within ourselves, the balance of masculine, feminine, sun and moon, the fiery doing yang side with the receptive cooling yin side. When our bodies and minds are in balance, this facilitates the connection with our higher selves, finding improved physical and mental health. The most powerful method of balancing Ida and Pingala is Nadi Shodhana, pranayama, or alternate nostril breathing. So you can go ahead and let your eyes blink open. So I'll show you how to do Nadi Shodhana. So we're going to take our right hand, so I'm going to mirror you for a moment. Take your right hand and then take your pointer finger and your middle finger and place them on your third eye. We're going to use our thumb to block off the right nostril, and we're going to use the side of our ring finger to block off our left. So now that you're set up, I'm going to switch my hands. So just with your hands on your fingers on your third eye, just without either nostril blocked, take a deep breath in through the nose, and then exhale through the nose. We begin by blocking off the right nostril. Inhale in through the left. Block off the left. Exhale through the right. Inhale through the right. Block off the right. Exhale through the left. Inhale through the left. Block off the left. Exhale through the right. And then inhale through the right. Block off the right and exhale through the left. Continue on for a couple more rounds on your own breath with this Nadi Shodhana breathing. So again, we're balancing the left and right side of the body, and you might find that one side is more blocked than the other. Oftentimes, if we sleep on our side, you might find that one side is more clogged up. That's normal. Even if you can't breathe in and out through one side of your nose, if you're sending the intention of the breath there, that's actually helping to move the prana or the energy. So Nadi Shodhana is great to do in the morning when you first wake up to kind of balance everything out for your day. And if you're ever feeling unbalanced in any way, whether you're feeling anxious and you have too much energy, or if you're feeling really sluggish and not have enough, this is a good way to kind of bring the body into balance, also helping us to kind of tune in to what's happening within our own bodies, which is what yoga and especially yin yoga is all about. So as you complete your last breath, which will be exhaling on the left, you can release the technique. And then again, just close your eyes for a moment, breathe normally in and out through the nose, or in through the nose and out through the mouth, and just feel the effects of the technique on your body, and perhaps your energy level and your mind. Beautiful yogis. As you're ready, start to come up off of the props. So we're going to work into our first yin shape today. And our first yin shape is going to be supported bridge. So supported bridge is most easily done with either a block, a couple of blocks, or a bolster, or pillows. So have your props handy. And then go ahead and you can sit to the side. Plant the feet down onto the mat. Hold on behind the back of the thighs to roll yourself down onto the mats. Once you reach the floor, you're going to slightly lift your hips up and slide whatever you're using underneath the sacrum. Now, 2 blocks can be nice for extra support, or like I said, a bolster or pillows. You want to make sure that you feel supported though. You could also put a blanket on top of pillows. The height that you are kind of depends on you. If it bothers you to have your hips above your heart, know that you can also just do this with your feet planted on the floor, or you could take your legs up the wall is another option. So we do want to make sure that we feel supported here. If the prop is too high up, what's going to happen is your ribs are going to splay and then your sacrum's going to fall down. And this is not comfortable. This is not what we want. We want support here. Once you find what's comfortable for you, just let your palms flip up. You have the option to perhaps take the arms up and have cactus arms, or you could bring the arms up over the top of the head and perhaps find a diamond shape with the fingers. You'd like to open the chest and shoulders a bit more. So just stay where you are in this first variation of supported bridge. So in our yin class, we hold our shapes for time. Our goal here is to get into our denser tissues, more of the fascia, the ligaments, tendons. We're kind of letting go of the muscles here. We're letting the props support us. So supported bridge opens the entire front side of the body. We have hip and spine extension. And what we're really wanting to do is open really the front sides of the hips. We often sit in compression when we're sitting in chairs. That compresses the front of our hips. And supported bridge helps to open all of that up. And just continue to breathe here in your first shape. Beautiful, yogis. From here, you can stay exactly where you are if you're comfortable, or we'll take a little bit of a warm up for the hips. So you can just gently hug your right knee in towards your chest, maybe interlacing the fingers around the shin or just holding on gently to the knee. And you can very gently encourage that knee in towards the body. So we are creating a little bit of compression now in that right hip. You can stay here, or you could begin to lengthen the left leg out long. So in doing so, we've made this a little asymmetrical. So now we've got even more extension in that left frontal hip by lengthening the leg. Take a couple breaths here. We'll rebend into that left knee, plant the sole of the foot down, and then we'll switch feet. So let that right foot come down onto the mat, and then hug the left knee into the chest. And again, you can interlace the fingers over the front of the shin, or just hold on gently. You can also hold behind the back of the thigh. And again, just gently encourage. So we're not trying to pull. We don't use force or strife in our yin practice. We more just want to use softening and gravity to help us here. And we have that option to straighten that right leg out and lengthen it in order to feel that stretch in the front of the right hip. Maybe here you notice differences between your left or right side. Know that that's normal, and it's always okay to set yourself up differently on each side of your body. As we practice yin this morning, we always want to make sure that we're not feeling sharp or shooting pain. Tensity and stretch is something very different, that's okay, but sharp shooting or a burning sensation we definitely want to avoid. All right, from here, replant the right sole of the foot onto the earth, and then let the left foot come down next to the right. Now we're back in our first variation of supported bridge. From here, we have the option to lengthen both legs out long. So in doing so, again, we're taking that nice stretch in the fronts of the hips. If this is too much for you and you feel it in the lower back, then I want you to replant your feet. If you are feeling this in the lower back, know that you can always have yourself a little lower. So maybe using a smaller pillow or just a blanket to lift the hips. We don't want to feel any tension in the lower back. And again, you can stay exactly where you are, or we'll take one final variation. This is legs up the wall. So bend into the knees, plant the soles of the feet first, and then gently hug the knees into the chest and send your legs up straight. So you're letting the soles of the feet come up towards the ceiling. It's absolutely okay to keep a bend in the knee. I definitely like to do that. So this is sometimes called Viparita Karani. So, and when done with the block, you can feel that it kind of supports you a little bit more. This is a serious core workout when you don't have a block, but we have the block. So this takes this into a more restorative posture. So legs up the wall is a really nice shape to take to kind of settle everything down if you're ever feeling stressed out. It also helps if you ever have fluid that pools in your ankles. I always like to say when I travel, I get cankles. So I do this often in airports. It helps remove that fluid, takes it into your body so that your kidneys can excrete it. Know that you can take this at home also with the support of the wall by literally bringing your legs up the wall. Let's take a nice deep breath in through the nose. Open the mouth, exhale, and release. We'll do that 2 more times. Take a nice deep breath in through the nose. Open the mouth, exhale, and release. One final time, take a nice deep breath in through the nose. Open the mouth, exhale, and release. Gently bend into the knees. If you'd like, for a moment, you could hug the knees into the chest. Maybe rock back and forth on that block across the sacrum if that feels okay. And then eventually let your feet plant back down onto the earth. Press into the feet so that you can remove your bolster, your pillows, or your block out from underneath your back. And then let your feet come wide on the mat for a moment and your knees tent in. Just going to take a little reset here for the spine before we move on. Beautiful yogis. Now let your legs come out long onto the mat and then reach your arms up over the top of the head. So you're taking a nice full body stretch here. And from here, we're going to warm up the lateral sides of the body. So we're going to take what's called banana asana. So lying on the floor, I want you to imagine the shape of a banana, and then begin to walk your wrists over to the right side of your mat, and then start to walk your heels over to the right side of the mat. So everything still stays connected to the earth here. Make sure you're not lifting off the earth. So we're just making that curve in our body. You can take your right fingers and encircle your left wrist if that helps you to take it a little bit deeper. You could cross your left ankle over your right or your right over your left. So in essence, again, making that banana shape on the floor. Use the wall for a moment so you'll look like this. If you want to look at your screen and you're unsure of what we're doing, although I think all of you guys have done this before. So just breathe into the left side of your body, just a little side stretch. Beautiful. We'll release the bind with the hands and the feet. If you've taken it, walk everything back to center. And then we'll walk everything over towards the left side of the mat. And by everything, I mean your heels and your wrists. So again, making that banana shape in the body. You can use the left fingers to encircle the right wrist to get a little deeper. Crossing the right leg over the left or the left over the right. See what you prefer. Maybe try both. Feel the stretch in the right lateral side of the body. Perhaps thinking about breathing a little bit more into that right lung. Beautiful yogis, begin to release the bind of the feet and the hands. Walk everything back through center. And then again, take a nice full body stretch for a moment. And then eventually you can hug your knees into your chest. Again, maybe rocking a little left and right on the spine. Eventually, if it feels okay, you can begin to rock up and down the length of the spine, giving your whole spine a little massage. And then eventually we'll rock ourselves up to a comfortable seat. We're going to take a little stretch before our next shake that we're going to hold for any amount of time. So you can sit down and let your feet come out long in front of you for a moment, or your legs come out long in front of you. We're going to find a seated variation of pigeon or a figure 4 stretch. And in yin, we actually call this shape swan. So lots of different names. But basically, we've got external rotation and we're going to warm up our hips. So as you're ready, bend into your right knee. And then bring your hands behind you and lean back. And it might not be a very big bend here because we're not extremely warmed up. So let's then bend into the left knee. And then you're just going to cross the left ankle over that right thigh. So again, we're finding this figure 4 shape in our legs. I'm also going to show you from the side what this looks like. So you can let that left knee fall out any amount away from you. You could even take the left hand and gently press it into the knee. Or if you're not feeling this and you'd like to get a little deeper, press into your hands and move your hips closer to your heel. And then oftentimes you'll feel that a little bit more in the hip. So our target area is the outside of our left hip here. We feel that stretch. You might also feel it in the groin or in the front hip crease. So just take a couple breaths here. You could flex the toes if you want. A lot of times that helps people to have the knee feel a little bit more stable. This is definitely something you should not be feeling in the knee. And actually, as you move through practice today, you should really never feel things in your knees. Sensations in the knees, you definitely want to back out of. And hopefully I'll give you an alternative where you won't be able to feel any pain in the knees especially. All right, so if you scoot it up, scoot yourself back, uncross the legs. Let's lengthen them out for a moment, just shake them out. We'll take the other side. So bend that left knee in. And remember, not too much of a bend to start. And then cross the right ankle over the left thigh. Again, you find your figure 4 pigeon or swan shape. You can use the hand to the inside of the knee to press it away. And notice this side on me is much tighter than the first side was. So again, you'll definitely feel differences in the body. We're not built symmetrically, and that's okay. And again, if you're not feeling it, you have the option to press into your hands to lift your hips up and bring it a little closer to your heel. Maybe taking that stretch a little bit deeper. Again, flexing the toes, up to you. Beautiful, yogis. If you scoot it up, go ahead and scoot back so that you can release the legs. And again, shake them out for a moment. So we work a lot into our hips in our yin practice, and that's because in this part of the world, we tend to lose the mobility of our hips as we get older because of the way that we live our lifestyles, because we sit in chairs, we're always in compression in the front of our hips. We kind of sometimes lose that ability to externally rotate. So our hips are actually anything, the tissues considered from the bottom of the ribs all the way to the knees. So this entire area is what we're going to focus on. So lean back and put your feet wide on the mat. Let your knees tent in for a moment. So from here, we're just very gently going to let one knee fall into the center at a time. So these are called windshield wipes. And taking these a lot of times will help kind of loosen the lower back. It's also a nice stretch for the outer hip, which is kind of where we're going next. So this next posture is going to be a seated posture. So know that if you would like, you could always bring a blanket underneath the hips, if that works for you. You shouldn't have to be up too high for this one. So just a blanket would be fine, or you don't have to have a blanket if that doesn't work for you. All right, go ahead and stop into the center, and we're going to work our way into deer pose. So what we're going to do is bring your right shin down parallel to the short edge of your mat, or to the front edge of your mat. And then take the left leg, and we're going to take it out to the side. So the idea here is we kind of have like a 90-90 in our legs. Now the left knee could be up in the right instep if that's comfortable for you, or you might find for you that you're much more open in the shape. So I'm also going to kind of show you from the side. So you could be more open here, or you could be more closed off. It's going to kind of depend on how your hips feel. And again, you have the option to flex the feet if you'd like, but you don't have to. So kind of settle in to where you find comfortable. So we've got external rotation of your right hip, and we have internal rotation of the left. And a lot of times we feel this in that outer left hip. So you can stay exactly where you are here, or we're going to move this a little bit with some choices. So the first choice we have is to begin to walk the hands forward, just to fold over that shin that's parallel in the front. So I'm going to grab my blocks here. So my blocks could be underneath my elbows. You could also have books, anything piled up. You could also have a block underneath the forehead if you can come a little farther down. And if you find you're really open, then you can come down even farther. That's absolutely fine. So breathe here. And perhaps start to notice what you feel. So a lot of times you feel compression in this front hip because we've compressed it. And depending on how your joints articulate, you might find that this is challenging. We're going to move this so you can kind of diagnose in your body where things work. You need to breathe here for a couple more breaths. Beautiful, yogis. If you folded forward, just lift up gently, and then you're going to walk yourself over your right knee. So this time we're going to fold a little bit more over the right knee. And you can see for me, when I come towards my knee, I actually clear compression in the front of my hip, so I can come in much farther. You might find that this is more preferable for you, or you might have liked that first variation better. Know that you can always stay in the first variation. Again, all of our options with our blocks. We'll be here for a moment. So when we take these shapes and we fold in different ways, we just have different target areas. So you might notice that you feel it somewhere different, which is okay. And know that you can always stay in one variation of the posture if that feels better to you. Yogis, one final variation. You can lift up enough to continue to walk over to the right. So now we're going to find deer twist. So we've twisted over, we're away from our knees. And again, when I come into the twist, again, I feel a little bit of compression. So I'm going to lift up onto my elbows here on blocks. Maybe as you start to settle in, you could eventually lose the blocks. And again, a block underneath the forehead is always nice, especially so the neck feels supported. So we've taken a twist into this as well. So this one is an asymmetrical posture. Both legs are doing something completely different. Beautiful yogis, let your hands come back underneath your shoulders. If you found that complete fold, walk yourself back in towards your legs. Lean back, we're gonna undo the legs. And we're gonna lengthen them out for a moment and just kind of shake them out. Take your hands and give yourself a little self-massage here, especially around the hips, and the sides of the hips. Bring a little motion and blood flow back into the legs before we take the other side. Beautiful. And as you're ready, you can replant the feet, and we can do it wide again. Let's take a couple of these windshield wipes. To me, these feel pretty good after being static in that posture. And as you're ready, we'll find deer on the second side. So this time we let that left shin be parallel to the short or front edge of the mat. And then we tuck that right leg behind us. So again, or the left leg, excuse me. No, right leg, I was right the first time. So you can let your knee kind of be into the instep if that feels okay for you, or you could be a little bit more open here. Just depends on the way that your joints or your hips articulate. So find somewhere you'll be comfortable, kind of settle in. Again, flexing the feet, completely up to you if you'd like to take that variation. And know that you can stay lifted here. We're getting plenty of work done by staying lifted. We have external rotation of the left hip, internal rotation of the right. And oftentimes we feel this in the outer hip. So from here, if you'd like a little bit more, begin to walk the fingers forward and perhaps finding a fold over that front shin. Again, employing our blocks, our books, or pillows in front of us for support. Yin Yoga asks us to somewhat stay in our bodies and notice things that are happening. One of my favorite things I like to talk about in yoga is the fact that we kind of are disconnected from our bodies in our daily lives. You really probably don't notice your body until something goes wrong. You don't notice that you have two working knees until one doesn't work, and then that's all you can think about. So Yin helps us to kind of look inward, to take that time to feel into our bodies, to notice things. And a lot of times your Yin practice will really help you with your more Yang practices or Yang practices. You'll start to feel into where you are in your body, maybe where your restrictions are, where you're more open, and what you want to work towards to get a little bit more mobility back into the body. The option to take that second variation. So lift up just enough to walk yourself over the left knee. So walking ourselves over that front knee and then beginning to fold this way. And again, how does it feel different? Does the target area change? Do you notice a stretch somewhere else? Do you notice perhaps that you've cleared some compression so that perhaps you can come a little bit deeper here? You can stay exactly where you are, or we can take this into deer twist. So we lift up a little bit, and we walk all the way over, and then find fold here. Or perhaps you need to stay a little bit more lifted here. So now we've brought a twist into this. So lots of things going on here. We're multitasking. Remember, our twists are good for digestion, elimination. Imagine that you're bringing out the spine, getting rid of things that you no longer need. Beautiful yogis, bringing the hands underneath the shoulders. If you've taken the folds, beginning to walk yourself back up. We'll walk the hands behind us, lean back, undo the legs. And again, let's lengthen those legs out, shake them out, a little self-massage. All right, so for a moment, since we've been sitting, let's plant the feet and then the hands behind you, and then just gently lift your hips any amount off the earth. And you can swing back and forth here. So this is called hammock. It doesn't work for your body. You know you can skip it. Beautiful. And then go ahead and bring the hips back down. I'm going to show you this next one from the side. So we're going to try to work into our quads. And we're going to have an option to recline as well, which means if you are able to recline, we want to bring that bolster or set of pillows right behind you. So kind of set up next to your sacrum, coming out from your sacrum. And then for many of us, almost all of us, I want to make sure that you have something on the top of that pillow. So whether it's two pillows at the end, because what we're going to want to make sure of is that we're not having the chin jutted up. We don't want to damage the neck. So the chin, we'll want it to be the spine kind of in neutral, which is the chin gently tucked into the chest. So once you get yourself set up like this, we're working into reclined hero's pose. We're gonna do a half heroes pose. So we do this in our core 26, Supta Virasana, and a lot of times we have a lot of restriction in our quads. So I'm gonna do the same side that you are. So you're gonna leave your right leg long onto the mat, and you begin by hugging the left knee in towards the chest. Now when we started in heroes pose, this will kind of let you know whether or not you're gonna need a block underneath your hips. So for some of us, we can just kind of lean over onto the right hip and turn the shoelace part of our left foot down and the heel's on the outside of the hip. So this though oftentimes already takes too much and the quads are too tight. So you're gonna employ your block or blocks. So you can bring the block underneath the hips and begin to lift yourself up. Now one block might be enough for you, and if it is, that's great. You can stay here. If you need 2 blocks, go ahead and bring 2 blocks underneath. So again, you should not be feeling this in the knee. And if even lifting your hips up this much still doesn't work for you, then I want you to lay on your side. And I'm just gonna demonstrate that really quick because I know a lot of people have really tight quads. So lay on your side and just hug your heel in towards your glute in some fashion. And you're getting that quad stretch. So if you can do this and you're without anything underneath your hips, so your sacrum is on the ground, you have the option to go back into the back bend. So you'll let the elbows come down, pop that block underneath my head. So the idea here is you don't want this, that's not comfortable. So it might be just a blanket underneath the back of the head. We won't be here long, just take a couple of breaths. Again, we're working to lengthen the front of the leg or the quad, which oftentimes can be very tight. If you've taken the back bend, we also have that chest opening here. Yogis, let's take a nice deep breath in through the nose. Open the mouth, exhale, and release. You've taken the reclined version. Use your elbows to help yourself slowly come back up. We'll lengthen that left leg out. And again, shake out the legs for a moment. Just use these transitions in between our shapes to bring a little bit of blood flow back in. And while you do that, I'm going to turn myself around. You guys can stay the same direction. So we can work into the second side of reclined half heroes pose. All right, so as you're ready, again, we have lots of options, and you might find that on this side, you have to take a completely different variation, and remember that that's okay. So you're hugging your right knee into the chest, and then leaning over onto the left hip and trying to turn that right sole or right shoelace part of the foot down, so the sole of the foot is up. So we want to make sure we're not sitting on our heel. The heel is out to the side, and right away, we might need to be on one or multiple blocks. If we are, we're going to stay upright. You know, you can also fold forward if you'd like. We'll practice on this side. And again, our target area are quads. So if you get here, everything feels okay, and you'd like to take that reclined version, then use your elbows to lower yourself down. Take your time. And then we have the block underneath the back of the head for support. So this also opens the front of the hip, so the frontal hip flexors. So taking these shapes one side at a time, either left or right, a lot of times makes them a bit more accessible. So in your 26 and 2 practice or your Bikram practice, if you have trouble taking this on both sides at once, good to practice doing it one side at a time. It allows your body to just focus on one side, and then eventually, perhaps the goal would be to be able to do both legs back. Knees, let's take a nice deep breath in through the nose. Open the mouth, exhale, and release. If you've taken that reclined version, bring the elbows underneath to help yourself up. Eventually the hands come underneath. Take your time here. Lean over and kick that foot out in front of you. And again, shake out the legs for a moment. Bringing a little bit of motion back in. You could find some of those windshield wipes if you'd like. And again, maybe you want to lift up for a moment. We have one more seated posture to go. So again, you might find that you'd like to bring a blanket or even a bolster underneath the hips if you want to lift up a little bit here. This next one is really going to work on releasing the hips. We're going to have a lot of external rotation. So the next one we're going to work into is called square. So we've kind of warmed up a little bit for this shape throughout practice today. So square is what it's called in yin. In vinyasa, it's often called double pigeon or sometimes fire log pose. So I'll have variations. I'm going to show you kind of what square is first, and if square doesn't work for you, I'll give you a variation. So again, if you just want a thin blanket underneath your hips to lift up, you can have that. Let's take our right shin and bring it parallel to the mat. So remember that deer pose that we started with, kind of that same idea, having that right shin parallel. And then we're going to stack the left shin on top of the right. So the goal here is to have the ankle and the knee connected. I know if you let your foot slip down, you can probably think that you get this a lot easier, but you're not doing it. So we need to bring that ankle and that knee to connect. Now you can see there's a lot of room here on me. So I've got options here. I can bring a block in between the two, or I can also bring a block underneath my bottom knee. And a lot of times that can help. Now this one is quite intense. We're not going to be here for long. If you're not feeling it, begin to walk forward and then you will. Try to keep the spine almost lifted here so we're not rounding too much. So we don't want to tilt the pelvis forward. We actually want to try to keep that posterior tilt here. Now, like I said, if you're here, great, stay there. If this absolutely does not work for you, just find Sukhasana or easy seat. So just letting the heels kind of come out. So like a cross-legged pose, but a little bit more open. You're still getting that external rotation in the hips. You're still getting benefit here. And again, if you're feeling this in the knee, I definitely want you to back out and find a different variation. So continue to breathe here again. This one's a bit intense. A lot of times what you find, especially in these deep hip openers, is you find a lot of restriction. And a lot of times that can bring up sometimes anger. Sometimes when people tell me they hate yoga, I know this is probably why, because yoga can be hard. You can really feel things into your body that make you uncomfortable. But if you can learn to either back out and just kind of work into it a little slower or breathe into it, you find eventually that you are able to go a little deeper and perhaps progress a little farther. So just take your time and be patient with yourself. And know that feelings of anger are okay. You folded forward, begin to walk your hands back in towards your body. We're going to remove any prop that we might have, and we're going to twist this out with half Lord of the Fishes. So let that left foot kind of connect down onto the earth, and let's straighten the right leg out. So that left foot is kind of on the outside of the right knee. Bring your left hand behind you, and then take your right arm and hug your left knee and gently twist. Beautiful. We'll release that twist, come back forward. If you'd like, walk your hands the other direction and take a little twist this way. It's gonna be a nice stretch for this outer hip, left side. Beautiful, and gently coming back to center. Undo the legs, maybe lean back and shake them out. Move them around a little bit before you come into the second side. Right, as you're ready, this time the left shin parallel to the short edge of the mat or the front of the mat. And then to the best of the ability, stacking that right leg on top. Again, this is another place where it really shows if you have differences in the sides of your body or the way your hips articulate. So options here, block in between or block underneath the bottom knee. And again, the knees could be really far apart. As long as you're not feeling pain in the knee, I'm not too worried about it. Flexing the toes is an option. Remember, if this doesn't work for you, then you're just finding that Sukhasana or happy seat. To increase the intensity, begin to walk the hands any amount forward. Again, square pose deeply releases the hips. We have hip flexion here and also external rotation. Don't forget to breathe here. Oftentimes when we feel a lot of resistance in our bodies, we tend to hold our breath and kind of grit your teeth. See if you can just send your breath into those areas where you feel restrictions or tightness. Sometimes in the fascia of our body, we have adhesions. So we're working on getting rid of those adhesions and bringing our range of motion back to probably where it began. Yogis, you have 3 more slow, deep breaths in square pose. Could you soften in just a little bit deeper? As you reach the end of your 3rd breath, if you folded forward, begin to walk back. Remove the props out from underneath the legs. And again, we will release this with half Lord of the Fishes. So let that left foot come down onto the earth and let's straighten your right foot, excuse me, and then straighten that left leg out. So the right foot is on the corner of the left leg, right hand behind you, and then left arm hugs the right knee and a gentle twist. Releasing that twist. And again, if you'd like, you could take the counter twist over to the other side, maybe even bringing the elbows down. Maybe feeling that in the outer hip. And then gently beginning to rise back up, uncross the legs, and again, shake them out for a moment. We are going to set up for our last shape, which will also serve as Shavasana today. So this last one I'm going to show you is probably my favorite. It's a posture that I found very challenging at first, but as you do it, you'll find you crave it. And in modern society, this is the one we probably need the most. So this is supported fish. And if you can do this even for 15 minutes a day in any of its variations, what it's going to do is counter the fact that most of the time we sit like this. Whether we're texting, on computers, driving, we're caved in here. And so what this is going to do is open everything back up and help to reset that. So as I said, lots of different variations. So if you know your favorite variation of supported fish, go for it. Otherwise, I'm going to show you a couple options. So for the more yin version, you can have 2 blocks here. Now I am going to want to block behind the back of my head. This block, I'm going to want behind the back of my heart. So right in between the shoulder blades, and it can be down here, or if you want to take it up a little higher, you can have it set this way. So either this way or the long skinny way. So I'm going to show you the long skinny way first. And this just kind of takes a moment to set yourself up. So plant the feet and then lower yourself down. And you kind of just have to adjust. But the idea is you want this block kind of even with the bottom of your shoulder blades here. So not down in the mid back, up a little bit higher. So again, think it's behind your heart. And you'll notice here that I have this chest opening. Now the block behind the back of my head is so that I don't do this, because this is not good for anyone. Great, so make sure that you're supporting the back of your head. Feet can stay planted or legs can come out long. Now, if you're already in it, enjoy. If you're like, I don't like that variation, show me some more. Turning the block down, still having the other block underneath the head, or even having 2 blocks next to one another. Also an option. So a little bit less, but still getting plenty of heart opening here. Again, you want to feel this one, but you don't want it to cause you massive amounts of pain, so that's not good. So, blocks don't work, find your bolster or pillows underneath the chest. And I'll only keep talking for 1 more minute, I promise. I have 1 more variation. If all of that is still just too much for you, I want you to take a blanket and fold it up and to set it lengthwise. So think it would go along like a bra strap or a heart rate monitor, and bring that just right behind there, and then come down. And so again, we've got chest opening here, but it's a little less intense. So just breathe into whatever variation of supported fish that you have found. Again, we have a heart opener. This opens our hips as well. It's just really, really good for the body. Continuing to relax in supported fish. I have a reading for you. This is from Journey to the Heart, book by Melody Beattie. This chapter is called Trust the Process of Growth. Be patient with yourself. It takes time to work out issues, to work through things. It takes time to learn lessons. The more important the lesson, the longer the cycle to work it out and work it through. We may live in a technical age, but our souls aren't technical. They're still connected to nature. We grow and change as nature does. Learn her ways, study her seasons and cycles, and know those same seasons and cycles are in each of us. The process of change is like planting a seed and watching it grow and bloom into a flower. What are you trying to develop? A change in yourself. Is there something new you're learning, trying to do? Are you trying to adjust to a major change in your life? Each stage of the process of growth and change is important. From those first moments when we see the idea where the change begins to those long moments of nurturing and nourishing the idea. Each stage counts. Is there a change in your life that's begun when you started to notice? Are you thinking about it a lot, talking about it a lot, but not quite ready to take action? That stage is important too. You're nurturing and nourishing the seeds of change. It takes time for nature to change things into what they're becoming. It takes time for things to develop. Be patient with yourself and life. Trust the process of growth. Yogis, for today's class, I'm going to allow you, if you would like, to stay in supported fish. It's probably only been about 5 minutes, and like I said, 15 minutes can be really nice to do this. So please feel free to stay exactly where you are. I will just talk you through how you will eventually get out of the posture. And if you are ready to come out, you can come out with me to close out class. That's absolutely fine. As you're ready, you'll make sure you bend into your knees and plant the soles of the feet first onto the earth. And then you want to very slowly roll over onto your left or right side to roll off of those props. So you want to give yourself a little bit of time to just readjust. And you want to stay in fetal position. Use your bicep as a pillow. Just let everything come back and settle. If you're taking this later, know that you could always kind of move the props and then take this into a little supine twist if you'd like. Make sure you do both sides, knees to the left first, glance to the right, and then knees to the right, glance to the left. Helps with digestion. If you have come out of the posture, you could find a comfortable seat. You could join me in Anjali Mudra, bringing your hands together, palms together at heart center. Perhaps tucking your chin into your chest. Just finding something that you are grateful for having yin and being able to share it with all of you, being able to see you through modern technology. Yogis, enjoy the rest of your day. Know that anything we did today you can do on your own at home. Keep up your practice, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Namaste.